War between NATO and Russia is imminent, according to secret German armed forces document released by the Bild newspaper. According to a secret document from the German armed forces, a major armed conflict between NATO and Russia is imminent, with Russia potentially invading NATO's Baltic states as early as July. The German armed forces, Bundeswehr, are preparing for a potential hybrid attack by Russia on NATO's eastern flank this February. The confidential document details how a conflict between Russia and NATO might arise, with events unfolding month by month. The culmination involves the deployment of hundreds of thousands of NATO soldiers and the start of war in the summer of 2025. The Bundeswehr's Defense Alliance 2023 scenario predicts that Russian mobilization will begin in February 2024, followed by a spring offensive in Ukraine and an attack on the Baltic countries in July. Cyber attacks and other forms of hybrid warfare are expected. However, whether NATO will be able to contain Russia remains an open question in the scenario. Please note that these are potential scenarios and not confirmed plans. Daily Mail, which is so-called yellow, British press, demonstrates a potential scenario of a Russian attack on NATO. Journalists collected comments from ex-commander of U.S. forces Ben Hodges and other military experts. Small black square, the invasion will begin with cyber attacks that will cause global disruptions to infrastructure and satellites. Small black square, after that, the Russian Federation will launch a massive missile strike against infrastructure facilities throughout Europe, airports, naval bases, logistics centers. Small black square, then the ground operation will begin. The priority for the Russians will be an attempt to capture the Suwalki corridor, and then an attack on the Baltic states or Poland. Small black square, the Russian fleet will try to take control of the Arctic and, with the help of missiles, the North Atlantic. Small black square, after that, Moscow will take a pause to assess NATO's readiness to defend its eastern members. The Bild story builds a scenario for war that focuses on security and avoids specifics regarding the number and movement of NATO troops. The Bundeswehr's Defense Alliance 2023 scenario predicts that Russian mobilization will begin in February 2024, followed by a spring offensive in Ukraine and an attack on the Baltic countries in July. Cyber attacks and other forms of hybrid warfare are expected. Tensions could peak in October with Russia moving troops and missiles to Kaliningrad, a Russian exclave in Poland. Border conflicts and unrests with numerous casualties are possible in the Suwalki corridor, the small corridor between Belarus and Kaliningrad that lies along the Polish-Lithuanian border. In December 2024, Russia could repeat its 2014 invasion of Ukraine on NATO territory with Belarusian support, after the U.S. elections, when the United States might become leaderless. The scenario ends 30 days after D-Day, when NATO, including the Bundeswehr, deploys significant military forces to the eastern flank. However, whether NATO will be able to contain Russia remains an open question in the scenario. Sources for this article: Daily Mail, Yahoo.com, TheEcom, and MSN.com, The Bild.